Hi, this is Brian with ActiveMelody.com. In this week's guitar lesson, I'm going to show you how to play a country lead that's played at a reasonable tempo. A lot of the country stuff that I see online is really fast and it's hard to comprehend, but this is something that you can do. And there's a lot of useful licks that you're going to learn in this. Even though it's a short solo, we're going to break it all down note for note and I'll explain where the licks come from. And you're going to learn how to play the chord changes. That's a very common scenario that happens in country music. So I'll explain what that means over the course of 2 videos. In this video, we'll take a look at the first half. If you'd like to watch the second half and get the tablature and the MP3 jam track so you can practice playing all the lead stuff you're going to learn, you can practice getting your timing right and all of that, you can get all of those assets by going to ActiveMelody.com, go to the weekly lessons page, and do a search for EP278. Alright, so let me just start off by mentioning this guitar. This is a new one to me, although I did buy it used recently, but this is a B-Bender Telecaster, a Nashville Series B-Bender. And I've been wanting one of these for a while, and they're actually fairly hard to come by, even in Nashville. I don't see them that often, so I've had my eye out for one, and I saw one come through a music store here recently, and I had to pick it up. But if you're not familiar with a B-Bender, the B string goes through the bridge and comes out into the body and goes into a pulley system, so that you can pull on where the strap connects to the body, you can pull down on the neck to bend that B string. It allows you to do all these really cool pedal steel licks. So to demonstrate, I have to put on a strap, and watch what happens here where the strap connects to the guitar when I pull down on the neck. You can see that this little switch here is being pulled, and that's what's pulling on the B string. That's why it's called a B-Bender. And that's what gives you that pedal steel sound on your electric. It's a really cool effect. Alright, so even though the B-Bender functionality is cool, I'm actually not using it at all in this lesson. I just wanted to show you how the guitar works for those that are interested. But you can play this on any standard electric guitar. Okay, so let's talk about the song. The song is played in the key of A, and it's a 1-4-5 chord progression. Very basic chords. Your 1 chord is an A chord, your 4 chord is a D, and your 5 chord is an E. And we're going to be playing over those chords, playing the chord changes. So what that means is we're going to take scales and thinking about scales, and we're going to put that aside. Even though there's scales that are at play here, we're not going to be thinking about scales per se. That's how I do it anyway. I think about licks that connect back to these chord shapes. And let me show you, let me just demonstrate this first set of notes we're going to play, the first licks we're going to play, and how they connect back to this A chord shape. And by the way, if you're not familiar with the caged system, C-A-G-E-D, I do a whole lesson on that, which is EP273, and I go into detail about these different chord shapes. But to play that, you bar here on the 2nd fret, and I'm going to play the first set of notes, and I want you to be visualizing this chord shape as I play them. You can see that for most of the time, my finger was right there in that A chord shape place. Even though I lifted it a few times, all of the notes that I played kind of connect back to that. Now why that's important is, and this will be a huge takeaway for some of you, is if we were to play this in a different key, let's say we wanted to use those same licks but use them over a D chord, we could do it like this. Because there's your D chord using that A chord shape. So that's why it's important to connect them back to a chord shape. Now, once you learn these, you can use these licks and you can play them fast, slow, however you want to do that in anything going forward. Okay, here's how you count this in. It starts with 2 downstrokes on the open 5th string, and that comes in on the 4. So when you're counting it, you go 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? And you'll see in the jam track, there's actually a click track before that, which is 4 empty beats, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it starts 1, 2, 3. So after I played the 2 downstrokes there, my middle finger comes up here to the 3rd fret on the 5th string, and I do a hammer on to the 4th fret 5th string. And then my fingers right there playing that A chord, barring the first 4 strings there on the 2nd fret, and I'm going to play strings 4 and 3. Those 2 notes together. Downstroke with the right hand. In fact, everything is a downstroke with the right hand up to this point. And then I went, and that's down, up with the right hand, but my ring, I keep the bar there, my ring finger comes up here to the 4th fret 4th string. Actually, I don't keep the bar there, I just keep my finger sort of in the position. So my finger is going back and forth between the 4th fret and the 2nd fret on the 4th string. And then it comes down to the 4th fret 5th string, and then back to the 2nd fret. Actually, strings 4 and 3 on the 2nd fret. Alright, so from the beginning we have 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I played. So look at that. That's just a hammer-on between the 2nd fret and the 4th fret on the 4th string. And then we come up and play the 2nd fret 3rd string. And then it's a half bend and release. And then that half bend and release is on the 4th fret. And then we come down to the 2nd fret. This is all on the 3rd string. And you can see what's happening here is there's a little box that's happening between the 2nd fret and the 4th fret. You're just kind of skipping the 3rd fret. And then you do the same thing on the 4th string. Exactly the same thing. It makes it easy to play and easy to remember. Alright, so from the beginning we have. And then to conclude I went, and I keep the bar there on the 2nd fret. I do that same hammer on from the 3rd fret to the 4th fret on the 5th string, and then 2nd fret 4th string with a hammer on to the 4th fret 4th string, and then there's the 2nd fret 3rd string. You can see that's all behind the bar there on the A chord, and then you play that low A string or the 5th string. And that's a great little bluegrass country lick that you hear a lot. But when we put it all together, if I were to count it in, it sounds like this. 1, 2, 3. Now, before you move any further, what you've just done is you've created a whole set of licks that work off of this A chord shape. I want you to take and play that same set of notes over a C chord using that same chord shape. You should be able to do that. You can pause the video and work that out on your own. If you can't, go back to how I showed you how to do it over a D chord earlier. Alright, so let's move on. So that's what we've learned over this A chord shape. Now the song is still staying over the A chord, so I'm gonna, just to keep it interesting, I'm gonna come up and play some notes over this chord shape. It's still an A chord, but we're now playing using the E chord shape. Again, this is all covered in the caged lesson. Okay, so after then I played. That's the next thing we're going to learn. Alright, so we're going to start here on the 2nd fret 4th string, do a hammer onto the 4th fret 4th string, and then come up to the 2nd fret 3rd string. And then I'm going to, that's just sort of the pickup note, and then I'm going to slide up to this position, which would be that E chord shape. And to do that, I take my middle finger on the 4th fret 3rd string and slide up to the 6th fret. And then my index finger goes down as a bar on the 5th fret. I'm just barring the first 2 strings on the 5th fret. And you can see what I'm doing there. I'm playing an A chord, and it's the top part of your bar chord. You don't always have to play the entire bar chord. In fact, I rarely do, especially if I'm playing lead like this. I'm just going to pick the notes out of these chord shapes. So we have, and you can see that I'm picking that up to that last note there, which is the 5th fret 1st string behind that bar there on the 5th fret, and I'm using my ring finger to pluck that. So we're going to be using hybrid picking for the rest of this lick. This is where we're going to pick on the 3rd string, and we're going to pluck with our ring finger and middle finger on strings 1 and 2. So it sounds like this. That's slide on the 3rd string, 1, 2, and then we're going to keep that shape there. And you can see all I did was I did a hammer on with my ring finger from the 6th fret to the 7th fret on the 3rd string. That's picked with my pick, and then pluck on the 1st string, pluck on the 2nd string. ring finger, middle finger. So, and then I played. So to do that, it's a pull off between this. It's on the 7th fret, 3rd string. And notice I keep these fingers down the whole time. There's a pull off as I pick that. When I lift my finger here, my ring finger from the 7th fret, I'm flicking the string a little bit. And then it comes down on the 7th fret, 4th string. So all together you have. And then I played that 5th fret, 1st string again with my ring finger. And you can see what's going on here. It sounds more complicated than it is. It sounds like something you'd hear on a pedal steel, but in actual fact, you're just playing around that chord shape. And here's your homework. Pause the video, and I want you to take that same lick there and do that over a B chord. I'm not going to do it for you, but let that be a practice, because all you're doing is, if you think about your A chord, and the reason that you want to do that, the reason why you want to try doing it over other chords, is so that you can start to realize what's going on here, so that when you improvise, you can start to pull these licks out of your bag of tricks. They start to become part of your vocabulary, and that's what playing is just learning how to communicate. Okay, so we have, and then I played. Doesn't that sound like a pedal steel? And this is just a half bend that's happening here, but all I'm doing is I'm barring the first 2 strings on the 5th fret, and then I'm doing a hammer on the 2nd string, 5th fret to the 7th fret, and then I play an upstroke on the 5th fret, 1st string, and then I played. So that's that pedal steel thing where I'm doing a half bend, so I'm keeping my index finger there on the 5th fret, 1st string, and I'm doing a half bend on the 7th fret, 2nd string. Now remember, a half bend means you're trying to play a note that's 1 fret higher than where you start. So don't overbend it. That'll be too much. You don't want to do a full bend, just a half bend. And then you hit that 1 string, and then you go back and release the bend. So you hold the bend while you hit the other note, and then you go back to it, like this. Okay, so let's take it from. And then you play the 5th fret, 1st string. That's your lick. Really powerful lick. Try that over a B chord. Now that you've got that lick in your vocabulary. And then after that I went. Now all I'm doing there, and I've explained this in lots of previous lessons, but I'm just going up to this harmonized 6. Actually, I'm picturing this A chord. So you've got your A chord here, and then I'm up here playing an A chord using the D chord shape. Again, this is all covered in caged. But the way that I always think about this is, if you're thinking about this bar chord shape, wherever these 2 fingers are, you've got a fret here, you're going to skip that fret, and then you're going to come up 1 more fret up to here and play strings 1 and 3. And you've got this nice harmonized 6 that works with whatever this chord is. And so you can always use that. You can use that for so many things, like turnarounds and blues. You know, it's just a very useful little tip and trick to be able to do. Okay, so backing up. That's where we're going now. Now the song switches to the D chord. And so what I did was, I'm still in the A. I hinted at the D. That's your D bar chord. And then I came up and resolved on the D. It's another harmonized 6, but I'm just playing it over the D chord. And actually what I'm doing, if you visualize the D major bar chord that's using the E chord shape out of caged, I'm just playing strings 1 and 3. So that helps you visualize, okay, so that's all that is. Same like little triad that we just did there, but now we're doing it over a D chord. And that makes sense. If we're playing over the A, and we're playing licks here, when you come to the D, you'd be playing up here. And that's that little transition going back and forth between the A to the D. Now, I'm not sure where I got that, but it just, as I was improvising, actually I kind of got to the D too soon, and so it ended up just kind of dancing back and forth. When I was improvising that, I thought, well, that's kind of cool. That's something that would happen in a real live situation, and it kind of works. Now, the way that you want to play that and be able to transition easily, first of all, you're going to hybrid pick it. So you're going to pick on the 3rd string, pluck with your ring finger on the 1st string, but keep your middle finger down the whole time. That's your anchor. So your middle finger goes from the 9th fret 3rd string up to the 11th fret 3rd string. So that's easy, right? And then your ring finger is down when you're on the 9th fret, but then you lift that, and when you come up to the 11th fret, your index finger goes down the 10th fret 1st string. That makes it easy. That's how you can go back and forth between those two shapes. Okay. All right, so let's back up from the beginning now and play everything up to that point. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pretty cool. It actually sounds pretty good on its own, even without a jam track underneath it. But with that jam track, it'll really help you with your timing. All right, so when you get to the D, here's the entire lick. We're going to break this into little parts. And then we go back to the A. So it sounds like a lot, but once we get it in these little sections, it'll be pretty easy. Okay, so I'm thinking about the D chord shape. I'm borrowing the first 2 strings there on the 10th fret, and I'm playing both strings 1 and 2, and I do a hammer onto the 12th fret 2nd string, and then I go back to the 10th fret, strings 1 and 2. And then my middle finger comes down on the 11th fret 3rd string, slides down to the 9th fret, and then down to the 7th fret. That's all on the 3rd string. Now, I lied in the beginning when I said I'm not thinking about scales. In this one place right here, I am thinking about a scale. But it's connected to the chord shape, so it's still relevant. So once you play that and slide down to here, all you've done is you've slid into major pentatonic scale pattern 1. And maybe this will be a big light bulb moment for a lot of you. When you think about your E chord shape and pattern 1, pattern 1 of the major pentatonic scale, not minor, you can see how it connects to that chord shape right here. So, you know, maybe you've thought of that, maybe you haven't. I just wanted to point that out. Okay, so after that, we're going to play. And this note right here is actually in the major scale. It's not in the major pentatonic scale. It's an extra note. But just remember, that's part of the major scale. So that's the 8th fret 2nd string, 7th fret, 9th fret 3rd string, 7th fret 3rd string. So we have... Alright, so from the beginning of the D part, and this all happens right on the beat. Nothing's played fast or slow. It's just... And then after that, that's a slide. I use my ring finger on the 9th fret 3rd string, sliding up to the 11th fret 3rd string, 10th fret 2nd string, then back to the 11th fret 3rd string and slide back to the 9th fret. So it sounds like this. And then back to the 7th fret. Alright, so backing up over the D chord, we have... And then I play the 9th fret 4th string, and then I do a hammer-on between the 7th fret and the 9th fret, playing strings 4 and 3, so I'm borrowing the first 4 strings on the 7th fret, playing strings 4 and 3, do a hammer-on to the 9th fret 4th string, and then I play the 7th fret 4th string on its own, and then after that I played... So I keep that bar there, my middle finger, actually this is very similar to what we did in the beginning over that A chord. My middle finger goes down on the 8th fret 5th string, do a hammer on to the 9th fret 5th string, 7th fret 4th string, 9th fret 4th string, back to the 7th fret 4th string. Alright, so let's take it from the beginning of the D part up to that point. Alright, it's a lot of information, and that's how I ended it. I do a full bend there on the 9th fret 4th string, down to the 7th fret 4th string, 9th fret 5th string. And that's what I played over that D part all together now. And you want to write this down if you don't have the tablature. If you have the tab, obviously it's there for you. Alright, it's a lot of notes there, but it's actually pretty simple when you play them in little parts like that. But the big takeaway is for you to be able to connect all of those notes back to chord shapes. So they're both D chords, a D chord and a D chord. So this is using the E chord shape out of caged. This is using the A chord shape out of caged, but they're both D chords. But you can see with this chord shape how all of those licks connect back to that one, and then the first one connect back to this one. And in between the two is the major pentatonic scale pattern 1. So you know, it could blow your mind when you think about, oh, okay, this chord shape and this chord shape are connected by the major pentatonic scale, pattern 1. Pretty cool stuff. Okay, so let's take it from the beginning and play it all the way up to where we are, and then we'll learn the last part for this first half. 1, 2, 3. And all I did was slide from that 9th fret 5th string down to the A chord shape that we started with. And I just played strings 5 and 4. And then I played another kind of bluegrass country lick. There's a whole song right there, trust me. But you start there on the 5th string, open 5th string. There's that hammer on between the 3rd fret and the 4th fret on the 5th string. There's the 4th string 2nd fret, and then you do 4th fret back to the 2nd fret on the 4th string. And then you play the top part of the chord, just strings 4, 3, and 2. Play them twice. So it's a cool lick. Try that over D. You can play that now over anywhere on the neck, over any chord. And then I did a slide back up to this chord shape. So I'm thinking about that. I'm just going to play this harmonized 6. So my ring finger comes up to the 6th fret 3rd string. My index finger goes down on the 5th fret 1st string, which we've already done. And so after this harmonized 6, then I play this kind of Merle Haggard style lick that goes. And this is an easy one to play and an easy one to remember because it's consecutive. You're going to do the same thing over each string, the 1st string, 2nd string, and 3rd string. So it starts with a half bend here on the 1st string, and then you do the same thing on the 2nd string, and then you do the same thing on the 3rd string. So you have, and then your ring finger goes down on the 7th fret 4th string. And then to conclude that lick, I play the 5th fret 3rd string and do a hammer on to the 6th fret. So all together, really cool lick. And you can remember that now going forward because it's easy. Like I said, it's consecutive, strings 1, 2, and 3. Okay, let me back up. That's a lot of information. Actually, I'm going to end the part 1 video here. In the second half, we go over the whole E part, which I play through twice. Actually, we hold on the E through 2 measures. There's a lot of really cool bends and country licks, but I think it's too much information to try and cram into one video. So I'm going to back up now and play through everything. One more time, I'll play through it slowly, and then I'll see you in part 2. So here we go. 1, 2, 3.